Paris saw the vision clearly and made themselves heard loud and clear, but I try to stop the 10 count. Next. It was a busy week in France, so let's get right to it and start the 10 count with topic number 1, seeing 2020 as the man helps her husband, Seth Rollins, retain the title, and they had to leave Rollins with no other option here but to get Becky involved, and quite frankly, I am glad this happened because as Doc noted several months ago, that Seth and Becky almost always are aligned in their face-heel beliefs. And with Rollins turning at WrestleMania and Becky the night after, well, it simply made a lot of sense. So this was a fun match with a surprising ending to get us where we knew we needed to go, which was a Rollins retention. So the following night, Becky and Punk had a promo on Raw, which gets 5 stars out of me because it's something we never thought that we would see, and I have to say, it simply has to lead to AJ Lee right now. So the crowd certainly let their opinions on that be heard, and they certainly made themselves heard all weekend long. So a mixed tag team match at WrestlePalooza? Yep, that makes sense to me. But for the match itself, it was also pretty entertaining, though I didn't think it should have main evented the show, as it wasn't also my favorite of the night, but the ending certainly made it worthy of the spot. And then Knight summed it up best on Raw when he said that Jay kept ruining opportunities to take out Rollins, and that was exactly the story we expected and the story that we got. Though one of my favorite moments was actually them working together with Punk and Knight, taking turns to stomp out Rollins in the corner, and then Jay following that up with a hip attack to join in, and then getting that table. But that led to Jay breaking up the partnership instead. So we have seen Rollins catch spears into pedigrees before, and this one may have been the best with his on Jay, and that followed by a rarely seen Phoenix Splash out of Rollins, but he missed that. So that led to a nice flurry by Jay before the big elbow drop by Punk, and lastly the missed stomp through the chair into a GTS, which we would have gotten a second one in the same manner as at the Netflix premiere, but Becky's low blow stopped that. Nonetheless, looking forward to what we get next. So topic number 2, Roman Redux, because after seemingly being written off on the August 4th edition of Raw, Reigns returned after 1 week off so he could get this match instead, and so that they could destroy him even worse post-match and write him off again. So this time it was more brutal as he caught 2 spears and 3 tsunamis, including a tsunami while he was already strapped into the board. But I have to say, it was a horrific job by Michael Cole here because he was somehow taking Reigns' side, even though he was there at ringside after years of watching him doing exactly this to his opponents with the bloodline. But if that was enough, it was also because this very night he started it here himself by guillotining Paul Heyman after Heyman capitulated and gave him the Shula follow back. So of course, there was no choice here but for Reed and Breakker to have to retaliate for Heyman. Now, I hated the crowd hijacking the match before it even started, as they treated it like a WrestleMania main event that it most definitely was not, but France also started the Yeet movement last year with Jay, so I'm sure WWE heard that here and will now definitely be booking Reigns into the title match at WrestleMania, and also seeing those weird shots of The Rock now seemingly losing 15 pounds, yeah, I think I might have to change my WrestleMania main event pick after all with Reigns versus Rollins. So my only note for the match itself was Reed's turning his spear into a sit-out powerbomb, and I'm not sure how that really works with physics, as you still have to take the brunt of the force of a spear to stop that sit-out powerbomb, which is completely unlike what Rollins did with the pedigree, as of course he is going on top of the spear. So I don't know, nonetheless, Reed looked pretty good for that at least. Okay, topic number 3, Bella busted as Becky cleaned up messes all night long, and that started with taking out Nikki Bella, and I simply have to shake my head and ask, what were you thinking, Nikki, for that wildly missed kick off of the turnbuckle? I am not sure how you don't look back and wait before attempting that move. So she also went for failed finishers what seemed like 100 times as Becky countered 3 Rack Attack 2.0s, and instead she somehow landed a manhandle slam and briefly put into disarmor before she took that Lynch pin. Nicely coined by Bear there, I have to admit. So all those finishers were a strange choice because Becky only actually tried one of her own, the manhandle slam, one time the entire way. So in fairness, the Bella Buster off the steps was pretty good, even though the announce table did her no favors there either because it didn't get the credit it was due. But alas, we might not be getting much out of Nikki now after that one, but at least Becky is on to bigger and better things. Topic number 4, Machka of the night, as it was a surprising show stealer with Rusev and Sheamus, leading up to the billing of a good old-fashioned Donnybrook as they pummeled each other silly. Maybe I'm not going to be so generous and give this 5 stars, but definitely at least 4.5 stars in my non-existent book. So my favorite moment was Rusev's Uranagi through the side of the bar, as that was a surprisingly good use of a prop that looked like it really hurt in its awkwardness. So, of course, the bigger move is surely going to be the white noise off the top of the barrel and through the tables, which was fantastic, no doubt, but I'm pretty sure we saw that same move with Pete Dunne in the prior match, so it wasn't quite as impactful here, though still awesome. But anytime you are swinging that shillelagh, you simply have to do it, because it's a great weapon to have available, so Rusev's final whack to the back and then putting it in Sheamus' mouth to force the tap out was a great ending. Only note, I don't think he should have been able to get out of 2 accolades before he was finally finished off here, because the accolades should be one of the biggest submissions in all of WWE. Alright, topic number 5, prime business decision, as Logan Paul did indeed understand to give himself up for this business, as Cena said on SmackDown 2 weeks ago. So Cena does get the win after somehow surviving a big right and then right into an AA. So this match started off way too slowly because I thought it looked like we were getting the Cena from earlier in this year back for at least the work rate, but fortunately the lights clicked on and both of them dug deep into their bag of tricks, so credit to Logan Paul for always trying something new here. And this time, the pop-up uppercut, it didn't quite land correctly, but it certainly has potential going forward. And then Cena with both the Code Red and a Styles Clash, because we should get that match later. But for today, we're going to celebrate this one as Paul continues to rise and Cena looks to be going out on a high note. So our winner of the week is Sami Zayn, because we've got to talk about one SmackDown match. And no, I did not see this one coming at all. But shame on the MFT because they still had a 3-on-2 numbers game advantage, but they were coaxed into all following both Big Jim and Fatu into the crowd, which then left Solo Sikoa vulnerable. And of course he was, because Sami Zayn followed through on his promise that he was feeling good, just like his WrestleMania main eventing self, and apparently that was the case because he ducked away from 2 Samoan spikes and finished things off with 2 haluva kicks to get his first United States Championship. But I will say it was an interesting choice because this now gives us 2 ultra babyfaces with men's titles on SmackDown, so either Rhodes is going to be gone longer for what we expect, or something just has to give here in the form of a heel turn for one of them, right? Or am I still just getting my hopes up? Yeah, it's probably the latter, but I do want one of them to turn pretty badly. Alright, for the loser of the week, it's got to be AJ Styles for our one Raw match, because it was all there for the taking. France's seemingly most beloved wrestler, he had all the songs being played for him, they gave him all the emotions you could want, and we got a really strong match between both competitors, so props to Dom with that new mullet-o-matic, as well as the Michinoku driver, 3 amigos, followed by a splash. But when Dom went for that 6-1 Styles, Styles was ready to counter right into the Styles Clash. And yes, a little what were you thinking there to Styles for unhooking the proper leg to rehook it with the wrong leg so that Dom could indeed get that foot on the rope. But still, Styles persevered with an epic brainbuster to set up that phenomenal forearm, only for it to be completely ruined by the headbutt to the ribs, no less, by El Grande Americano. So everything was there for the taking, it was set up perfectly, but no, in the end, they could not give us this Styles Championship, and we'll have to see now if Dom will be a double champion. So finally, the stats of the week. We have to save one Clash match for here, so it's the Wyatt Six and the Street Profits, after the Profits won the #1 Contenders match. So props to the WWE for continuing to highlight this division, so I hope they keep doing that going forward. Now, it wasn't the best of matches itself, but the Wyatt Six entrance is so cool, and there are just so many things you can do with them against everyone else in the division. So for the stats, Loomis and Gacy go to 4-1-1, but I will admit, it is odd timing for the Street Profits to show this growing frustration with each other because they were actually on a 3-match winning streak going into this match, and they still have the most total wins of all tag teams with a very nice 8-4-2 record, so do better there, WWE. But nonetheless, here's the big stat of the week because there are already 58 different 2-man tag team combos in 2025, which is well ahead of the 44 combos in 2024 and 43 combos in 2023. So, I simply have to chalk this up to lazy booking by the WWE here, because they're just throwing 2 guys together and seeing what happens and then moving on and doing it again, just like in the main event this week of Raw where we had Jey Uso and LA Knight teaming up. So it looks like I did not beat the 10 count yet again, and the bell has also rung on Peacock as we now enter the ESPN era for PLEs. So we'll just have to see if they do anything differently over the next few weeks and into WrestlePalooza. But if you missed my betting picks for the last PLE on Peacock, be sure to go right on over here and check that out to see if I could go undefeated for the 3rd time since BackLash. But until next time, I am the SportsZu, and this has been Stop the 10 Count.